We've just finished this event, VOCING CSA, here in London. It was a brilliant event, and I'm joined here by a lovely lady, a very courageous lady called Suzanne Brimm. Now, Suzanne Brimm, you're a councillor, aren't you?
Yes, I'm a district councillor in THANET down near Margate in Kent.
Down in Margate,
Yeah.
because I must say, when I was doing the stream, I couldn't talk on the stream because obviously the topic, but people would go, where's she, the councillor? Where's she? And all I wanted to say, I just wanted to say, but I thought, no, let the speeches finish. So I thought, right, get you to one side, we'll have a little chat, because you're very interesting and very courageous, I must admit. Thank you for opening up and doing the right thing.
Thank you.
The one thing I want to touch on first, the word whistleblowing. You've got so many whistles because
I've blown a lot of whistles.
you have.
Yeah.
Can you don't have to go into detail, but you said it already in the speech, but for those that are not going to watch the stream and just going to watch this interview, if you could just tell us briefly the different places you've worked for and who you've whistled, not what you've whistleblown, but just, what the
Okay.
different companies you've worked for.
So when I was at college, I was working in a nursing home. I whistle blew. That was a resident that was being bathed in floor cleaner, and basically handling the patients roughly by members of staff that had essentially been working in the home for about 30 odd years. I was 18 and ended up losing my job because of that. I spent 10 years within British Gas. I whistle blew within health and safety with regards to not only the health and safety of other engineers, but also members of the public. That ended up costing me my job and my health. I was diagnosed with hypertension stage 1. Then I whistle blew within THANET District Council on corruption. I was a cabinet member. I was sacked a week after I blew the whistle there. And I've blown the whistle today with regards to elected members that work in local government and also national government that have been approached by residents within their constituencies and basically done nothing about it, just ignored them. And I mentioned today our local Member of Parliament, Sir Roger Gale, who was awarded a knighthood in 2012 for his outstanding public services to the public and politics.
Do you reckon it's outstanding, these services?
No, I think it goes against the 7 NOLAN principles which you should abide by if you are in public office.
You've got them written down. Could you just repeat the 7?
The one is selflessness, number 2 is integrity, number 3 is objectivity, number 4 is accountability, number 5 is openness, number 6 is honesty, and number 7 is leadership.
So if they were adhering to them pillars, then you'd be still in your first job, technically, really, wouldn't you?
Absolutely.
So it just shows how flawed the system is when you've got 7 basic edicts there that not a lot of councillors throughout the country, let's say, with all the different issues, they're not adhering to it.
No, they're not.
They're serving their own purposes somewhat.
Yes, and I think that if you can't behave in that way, then basically I think you're in the wrong job. You're in the wrong job.
It's about scruples, isn't
Yes,
it?
it is.
That's what we were talking about before.
And I just don't understand how this mother that came to me basically telling me that up to 4 of her children had been abused by a paedophile ring, and that in 2012 she had contacted her Member of Parliament. She'd given him all of the details that his wife requested because his wife was his secretary. And his wife contacted the constituent that I'm representing at the moment, and then 6 years down the line, nothing. They've not taken her case on board. They've not even picked the phone up to arrange a meeting to question her. And basically, when I got elected in 6 years down the line, a Member of Public said, "Have you heard of Suzanne Brimm?" She picked the phone up, and here we are today, trying to get justice for her and her family.
Good on you. Because people like you are in short supply. Now, I know that must carry a heavy burden, doing the right thing, because technically it's easier in this society to do the wrong thing and just turn your back and to walk away from it. What would you say to anyone who is in a situation where they see something wrong, wherever they work? Would you recommend the whistleblow? And if you do, how would you recommend they do it? Have you got any kind of theories, any bits of advice for
Well,
people?
my experience has been that when you blow the whistle, HR will turn around and say, we don't have whistleblowing policy. So whistleblowing policy isn't actually taken seriously enough. And I know at THANET District Council, their members of staff are... we are treated as members of staff because we pay a certain amount of national insurance. Yet, when it comes to blowing the whistle, we are not members of staff. It's only members of staff that work directly within the council that are covered by whistleblowing policy.
What?
So, given that you are set,
Sounds like a gagging order almost.
well, it's a bit of policy that they use as and when it suits them to use it. So,
Sure.
you know, you can't turn around and say to a councillor, well, you're an employee because you pay national insurance, and then say, well, I want to use whistleblowing policy. Well, you can't use that because you're not an employee. And so I think that councillors should be pushing within their local authorities, because I know not all local authorities, councillors, are not covered by whistleblowing policy. So, you know, some are. Our local authority isn't. So I think that we should be pushing to make sure that the councillors, essentially, when people come to you, your constituents come to you with something that you have to blow the whistle on, and you know that if you could lose everything as a result of it, you need to be covered by whistleblowing policy. And it's simple as that.
So when you're not covered, what can they expect?
The police at your door threatening
Really?
to arrest. Twice last year I had the police at my door threatening to arrest me in front of my children.
For telling the truth, Susan.
Yeah, I'm escorted around the council building by a guard. Certain members of the senior management team have sent management an email to turn around and tell all members of staff that they're not to talk to me, they're not to pass me any information, that a guard has to escort me around, and even when I go to the toilet, he has to stand outside the door while I go to the toilet.
What? Is that not a form of bullying? Because what are you supposed to expect from your former colleagues if that Chinese whisper's going round not to really
I don't
associate
know.
with
It's
you?
unbelievable, because the thing is that this lady came to me, and I have a duty of care to represent her. And as a councillor, I have a duty of care to ensure also that we protect the public purse. And if you can't act on that duty of care, why are you even a councillor in the first place?
Yeah.
And, you know, why should you be penalised for doing your job as an elected member?
Yes. It just says it all. They're going along to get along, aren't they,
Yeah.
Susan? Really?
Yeah.
And people like you are a spanner in the works.
Yeah.
How has it been for you as an individual, knowing that every time you do this, you're getting persecuted? How's your psyche because of it?
I'm quite emotionally, mentally strong. I am an independent councillor, so I kind of work quite well on my own. And yeah, you just got to keep on going. You've got to keep on keeping on. That's all you can do. You've got to fight for justice and do the right thing.
You were mentioning also in one of your speeches that when councillors have, say, the emails, it's almost like a surgery type of thing.
Yeah,
They look and they
yeah.
pick and choose. They tend to pick the easy emails, i.e. the easy problems that's not going to create too much.
Yes, so when you open your emails in the morning, you can have, say, like a resident that hasn't had their bin collected. You can have a resident whose cat's gone missing. You can have a resident that thinks that they've been wrongly given a parking ticket. You can have a resident that has been involved in a neighbourhood dispute. Or you could have a resident that's turning around telling you that 3 or 4 of her children are being abused by a paedophile ring. What I don't understand is, so by law, you're not legally bound to pick up all your casework, because you can be given so much that you can't even deal with it. But what you should do is prioritise your casework. So it's whether do you pick up all those easy things, or in my case, leave all of those easy things, because this woman who said that her children were being abused has to take priority.
You'd think.
Now that obviously didn't take priority when she emailed her Member of Parliament, Sir Roger Gale. His wife did respond to it. Then she responded to it again. And then it just got forgotten about for 6 years until I enter the scene and I start picking it up for her. I just don't understand how some people's brains are wired, because the mother wrote a 4-page email and it was not comfortable reading. And I could not go to sleep at night knowing that I didn't do, or at least try, with 100% of my effort to get justice for that family. And I just, I can't imagine how somebody can read that stuff and then just forget about it. It's just not.
What do you think it is? Do you think they try to save their careers, or do you just think that it's not happening to them, so they don't feel the full gravity?
I don't know. I don't understand the mentality.
Do you think they're somewhat desensitised when they hear these stories?
I don't know. I can't
It's hard,
explain
isn't
it.
it? You can't,
No,
because
I can't explain
you
it.
come from the stock that you come from that will whistle blow at the first opportunity.
Yeah.
So I'm asking you that question, and I know really that you can't answer it,
Who knows what goes on in these
because
people's
their
lives?
makeup is nothing
Well,
like
no,
your
but he's-
makeup.
I know that my local MP has got grandchildren and that he's an animal lover, and I think.
Why are you not feeling
I
it?
don't know. I mean, it just goes against every maternal bone in my body for a mother to come to me and tell me that and not act on it.
Yeah, not feel it at all.
Yeah.
Yeah. Can anyone get in touch with you? Do you have a forum that people can get in
Got a
touch?
Facebook account.
Facebook.
Yeah.
Would you like to mention it while we're?
It's Suzanne Brimm. There's 2 accounts. One that I just can't manage to. I'm a bit for technology, not very good at technology.
Oh, you're not
but,
the only one.
Yes, Suzanne Brimm.
Yep.
BRIMM on Facebook.
Right.
An open profile, so I try to be open. And yeah.
I'm going to leave it there because you said you need to go. There's one thing I'm going to say. It's probably a little facetious, but I'm going to say it. There's a certain chap called John Wedger. Now, he's just got in touch with
John.
me.
I know
Right.
John, yeah.
He's just this minute got in touch with me.
Okay.
He hasn't really. I'm only being sarcastic. The reason why he's got in touch with me, because he would like to know if there's a Suzanne Brimm that can give him one of her whistles, because he needs a whistle to blow. Because he's doing I think the ball in the whistle is not working that he's using. So I think the personal message is, Susan, have you got a spare whistle for John Wedger?
I'll always give John a whistle.
A true whistleblower right here, Suzanne Brimm. Follow this lady on Facebook, because there's not many people with scruples, and there's not many people who will openly take the consequences of telling the truth, and you're now looking at one. So fair play to you, Suzanne.
Thanks.
And good luck in everything that
Thank
you do.
you.
No
Thank
problem.
you.
This is Red Pill Phil. Like and subscribe. I love you all, even the pissing haters.